Mental Wellness Essay Blog, July 2026. A journey through trauma, philosophical isolation, the healing power of music, and the tenacious choice to live. Part 1. Introduction to the Architecture of a Beautiful Rambling Mind. Today's date is July 18th, 2026. The time on deck is approximately 20:52 hours, exactly 2 days after my 42nd birthday. I am sitting down to write this video blog update with a deliberate goal: to take the massive, non-linear, rambling torrent of thoughts inside my head and synthesize them into something coherent. For anyone who has followed my journey across dozens, if not hundreds, of hours of video vlogs and millions of written words and music notes, you know that my mind never seems to sit still and simply relax. Instead, it is permanently consumed by a vast, interconnected web of philosophy, theology, sociology, history, science, politics, the war in Ukraine, the tragic suffering caused by the Nazis and the Holocaust, and the millions of piano notes I play, write, and think about daily, alongside countless other infinitely fascinating hobbies and interests that I pursue. Historically, these video essay updates have been colored by an intense, consuming confusion and a bitter anger. For years, I was outrageously pissed off at seemingly everything: the world, everyone around me, the fragility of human life, the corrupt nature of some human beings, the grotesque evil of the world, and even the utter failure of my own parents to properly nurture, protect, or take care of me in any tangible, loving, or meaningful way. I will likely carry that raw, intense fury privately close to my chest for the rest of my life. But there is hope. Some genuinely good developments have occurred in my life lately. And so, as I cross the threshold into my 42nd year alive on this marvelous planet Earth that we all share, I sense that something fundamental is shifting in my mind and spirit. The overarching message I have to report today is incredibly positive. Despite the severe physical and mental struggles that still define my daily existence, I am winning. I am choosing life, and the momentum is finally moving forward. Part 2. The Anatomy of Trauma, Dissociation, and the Toll It Takes on the Mind and Body. To understand the breakthroughs I am experiencing, it is necessary to establish the profound psychological terrain I've had to navigate. Through intensive self-reflection and study, I have come to realize that I live with severe brain damage resulting from a mind-boggling series of terrifying traumas, in childhood, as a young person, and as an adult. When humans are subjected to environments that scare them to death, especially as a developing child, that learned terror response isn't a choice. It becomes a permanently altered state of reality, resulting from damage to the structural architecture of our fragile central nervous systems. Because of the trauma caused by things like severe childhood and family neglect and abandonment, things that we today fundamentally call child abuse, more often than not, your nervous system is deeply impacted, and your brain never develops correctly. My default early life baseline became an anticipation of death. Not really by any conscious choice of my own, this anticipation of death became my primary lifelong coping mechanism, a way to process a world that felt fundamentally unsafe. This level of trauma inevitably forces the brain to adapt in many different ways. My experience has been through severe dissociation from a reality that often seems to feel too painful to live in. For decades, my mind dealt with the overwhelming pain of reality by simply tuning it out, learning to completely forget the trauma while living right inside it. It is a dumbfounding, terrifying paradox. The very symptom of this mental illness is that your brain makes you forget you even have it, just so you can handle the basic weight of being alive. So to survive, I found myself throwing my energy into heavy distractions, binging true crime on YouTube, losing myself in expansive single-player video games, caring for my two little puppies, and of course, because I'm a huge nerd, studying complex philosophy, advanced scientific concepts, and tackling the hardest academic questions known to man. Part 3. Traumatic generational echoes and learned helplessness. The roots of this damage trace back directly to family conditioning. Raising a human being requires an immense amount of love, support, and care from compassionate, cooperative guardians to build a strong foundation. While I know that my mother did the absolute best she could with the tools she had, the fact remains that the two primary father figures in my life were, by definition, delinquent, negligent, and, it seems to me, entirely compassionless. These men, who of course were also fragile, broken humans deeply infected with their own unaddressed generational traumas, essentially let that pain roll downhill. Instead of seeking professional therapy to break the cycle and become competent parents, they simply passed the burning fire of trauma right on down to me. Because of the profound, tragic toll this took on my brain and psyche, I made the conscious choice never to treat my own children like that. I made a solemn vow to make their lives better than my own. The severe toll of this emotional abandonment led directly to a classic psychological state, learned helplessness. Despite possessing a high level of intellectual intelligence, my emotional and social intelligence was severely fractured by my upbringing. Sadly, I didn't learn how to love or preserve myself correctly. Instead, I learned to sit passively in the brokenness, staying small and quiet within the pain rather than taking proactive steps to fix it and improve my life. For 20 years, this manifested as intense, daily suicidal ideation. My brain desperately craved an escape from the pain of an unloved existence. Imagine waking up every day in a world where you feel entirely unloved and constantly in imminent danger. That is perhaps one of the most nightmarish realities imaginable. My own family members continue to act as selfish, entitled people, often refusing to respect me or spend quality time with me, and constantly ignoring my calls. To me, that behavior seems like the exact opposite of love. For example, my family flatly refuses to watch this rather impressive 3-hour documentary I made on surviving narcissistic marital abuse, a project I spent years of my life pouring my soul into for the education and awareness of others. It's this lack of basic dignity from them that reinforces my isolation. I spent years waiting for a savior, hoping a relative or an outside force would arrive to fix me. Part 4. The Seroquel Pseudo-Miracle and Confronting Physical Pain. The breakthrough began when I finally, really addressed my chemical dependencies. For over 15 years, spanning the absolute prime of my life from age 25 to 40, I lived in a thick, medication-induced haze. I was entirely addicted to the sweet, artificial relief of Seroquel, quetiapine, a second-generation atypical antipsychotic prescribed to override my terror of falling asleep. It allowed me to rest when life was completely unbearable, but it also kept me heavily sedated. Recently, I made the radical decision to completely stop taking Seroquel. The result has been nothing short of a miracle. The lifelong medication haze seems to have begun to evaporate. For the first time in my living memory, I am naturally waking up at dawn, sometimes 4 o'clock or 5 a.m., right as the sun peaks over the horizon and the birds are going wild outside. I bought a few new bird feeders, and that kind of morning energy has started to completely transform my daily routine. I've always thought that one standard metric for measuring things like severe depression is whether you can get out of bed and care for yourself. Lately, I've been getting up and taking a shower first thing every single morning. I have also entirely overhauled my diet. I stopped drinking beer, cut out soda, eliminated candy, and now actively snack on carrots and celery every single day. However, clearing the psychiatric haze forced me to confront the harsh physical reality of my life. Without the sedation, I often wake up to the fact that I am in excruciating, daily physical pain. I seem to have a chronic, severe issue somewhere in my stomach and digestive system. Every morning, the pain hits me with intense agony that only mildly dissipates once I stand up and walk around, returning the moment I lie down. A few days ago, my ex-wife called me to say happy birthday, and I asked her if she remembered me having stomach issues during our marriage. She said yes, almost every day. That confirmed that I have suffered from these exact stomach issues for years now, and it made me realize just how deeply my dissociation had hidden my own physical suffering from my conscious mind. Recognizing this is where I am actively defeating my learned helplessness. Through my clinical background in mental health counseling, I know that cognitive behavioral strategies sometimes require looking at myself clearly and saying, "Knock it off. You are an adult. You know what you need to do. Now go do it." Now, I always advocate that while conditions like PTSD require radical empathy and unconditional care for someone's pain regardless of whether you understand it, learned helplessness requires decisive, accountable, grown-up, mature action. I need to take control of my life. I can, and I am beginning to take back that control. I will utilize the VA healthcare network and make an appointment to see a primary care physician as soon as possible. I don't know what's causing this abdominal pain. It could be my diet, or the toll of years of drinking away the pain, or maybe something I have no awareness of, something like Crohn's disease, a severe bacterial issue, or maybe it is something profoundly simple like an allergy to dairy products that I don't know about. But I am going to find the answer. I am no longer going to helplessly tolerate waking up in so much pain that it makes me wish for death. Part 5. Grounding in the present. My garden sanctuary and dogs as advanced life-saving medical equipment. The physical anchor for this new chapter of my life is my house. In January of this year, I successfully bought my own home in the lovely, quiet little village of Granville, New York. After losing my first house in the chaos of my divorce 4 years ago, I spent a long, miserable stretch confined to a restrictive second-floor apartment. But now, I am a homeowner again. My new house is an absolute gem, a classic, beautifully maintained early 1900s design with the exact same architecture as my original home. It's about 1,200 square feet, located in a peaceful little community, and it feels perfectly tailored to my needs. My outside yard is wonderful for my pups. I finally have a lovely little yard that I can actively invest my energy into. On the far corner of the property sits a massive, 30-foot-high tree stump that someone cut down a decade ago. It is just the perfect spot to transform into a dedicated bird sanctuary. I have affectionately named the corner of my yard, the BSS of GNY at the TSG, the Bird Sanctuary Stump of Granville, New York, at the Swingers Grotto. Behind the garage, I just cleared out heaps of old wood to build my little nature grotto centered around a tiny bird bath. I am planning on putting up a pair of lawn swings to sit on while bird watching, hence the name, Swingers Grotto. I love it. It cracks me up. If you don't know, I am obviously not a swinger. The Swingers Grotto is just a joke. I am actually rather socially isolated by choice these days. I simply don't trust people enough to engage with them, but it is sheer humor from projects like this that always keeps me smiling. Most importantly, this yard provides a safe space for my 2 dogs, Jeffrey Jefferson and Marty. I have officially stopped just calling them pets, and now refer to them as my advanced life-saving medical equipment. They are my emotional support animals, and they have fundamentally given me a reason why I am alive today. While human love often fails us, these two little fur babies always provide an absolute, unconditional, loving bond that keeps me going. These two little animals give me a reason to get out of bed in the morning. They keep me walking miles every day, and they ensure I keep fighting to heal. Part 6. The Soul of a Philosopher and Counselor. At my core, I will always be a professional philosopher and a dedicated student of mental health counseling. I have a master's degree in clinical therapy that I need to use to help others. My mind naturally filters individual pain through universal, existential frameworks. Philosophically, I identify as an agnostic Christian. I find absolute dogmatic belief in God, as well as absolute atheism that claims there is no God, to be equally plagued by hubris and arrogance. I'm betting that very few individuals have spent the enormous amount of raw, intense mental energy analyzing the grand questions of existence as I have. Because most normal people have jobs and lives, and don't have time and privilege that I have to sit around all day thinking about the biggest, most important questions of existence, such as what is the meaning of life, like I do. Nevertheless, all that time, energy, and thought has brought me to the only intellectually honest conclusion about God's existence. It is ultimately unknowable, and we cannot definitively know if a higher power exists or not. However, I intentionally reject the absolute nihilism that accompanies a completely godless, purely Darwinian universe where everything is merely a brutal, cold fight for survival. Even though I'm 99% sure there is no God, I consciously choose to lean into that tiny, intentional 1% because of the hope it offers. I sure do hope there is a merciful God, and that everything actually has a purpose and meaning behind it. And if this gracious and loving God permits me to keep living and heals my body and mind, so I can conquer my trauma, I know I have a brilliantly promising career ahead of me in clinical healthcare. I become completely alive when studying the evolution of clinical literature. I have mastered the DSM-V through and through, developing a highly intuitive, relationally sharp understanding of the many complex differential diagnoses, treatment approaches, and theories. I am eagerly anticipating the upcoming release of the DSM-V. I cannot wait to see how the scientific community refines the criteria for modern psychological realities, particularly in the impending wave of new diagnostic clusters surrounding internet addiction, screen and social media disorders, and digital self-image pathologies. But don't get it wrong. I realize that living in 2026 means we are alive at a remarkable time. The world today has become completely detached from the outdated paradigms of the 1970s and 1980s. Mastering this cutting-edge clinical framework will make me exceptionally marketable as a practitioner. Of course, my long-term goal remains absolute. I want to return to academic study to earn my doctorate in psychiatric medicine. I want to take the literal hellfire and torment that nearly destroyed me and forge it into a clinical weapon to serve others. To do that, I must first successfully execute service to self right now so that I am fully equipped to provide profound service to humanity tomorrow. I have never been content with an ordinary, ambitionless life. I have always wanted to change the world for the better. As a utilitarian, my permanent life goal has always been to facilitate the greatest good for the greatest number of people. Part 7. The Repertoire of Music as Metaphor for Expression. Music is the ultimate therapeutic canvas where my philosophy and my trauma intersect. Thanks to my high-end Casio Salviano digital upright piano, my technical skills are finally matching my creative ambitions. I have recently composed 2 distinct piano musical masterpieces that I think encapsulate my life story nicely. Green Sleeves of Bitter Descent. This is a profound, modern reimagining of the traditional 16th century English folk song. It bridges the historical gap between ancient courtly prose and sharp, visceral modern lyrics based entirely on the true story of my life. The narrative arc moves from simple, unrequited longing into absolute existential despair, tracing the devastating structural collapse of my 10-year marriage. I stripped away the passive puppy dog longing of the 400-year-old original tune, transforming it into a dark, complex soundscape. It captures the raw, jagged bitterness of betrayal and the slow descent of the soul into the isolated desolation of life after intense spousal abuse. Singing and playing it helps me handle my grief in a way words alone cannot. Holocaust Lullaby. Born from a deep historical drive to comprehend the absolute limits of human suffering, I spent years studying the realities of World War II and the Holocaust. I memorized the histories of the thousands of camps scattered across Europe, from Auschwitz, Birkenau and Dachau to Mauthausen, Ravensbrück, Treblinka, Sobibor, Belzec and Buchenwald. I wrote this as a memorial piece listing the names of these horrific sites, setting the text to the hauntingly beautiful Baroque composition Sarabande by George Frideric Handel. While the Holocaust is the most unpleasant subject imaginable, art is meant to honor the totality of the human experience, including its deepest tragedies. When I study how prisoners reached their breaking point and chose to end their lives by intentionally leaping onto the electrified fences, an act known historically as in Den Zorn Gehen, I am filled with a profound sense of perspective. If survivors could endure that unimaginable historical horror and still find the will to live, then I can easily conquer the personal battles in my own life. My musical library has expanded to tens of thousands of pages of sheet music. I relax by playing Bach's Prelude in C major from the Well-Tempered Clavier, Mozart's Ein klein Nachtmusik and Rondo alla Turca, Billy Joel's Piano Man, and the massive, 100-page virtuoso piano arrangement of Tchaikovsky's Nutcracker Suite by Mikhail Pletnev from the 1970s. My technical obsession with the Baroque era centers heavily on the concept of basso ostinato. Whether it is the classic 8-chord ground bass of Pachelbel's canon in D major, Day BM, F-sharp M, G, D, G, A, or my current absolute favorite piece, Handel's Passacaglia, I am captivated by structural symmetry. The fact that the repeating bass line of the Passacaglia steps flawlessly through the entire circle of fifths, a D, G, C, F, B flat, E flat, in the key of G minor is a work of pure genius that grounds my mind when it feels chaotic. On the guitar, my repertoire is equally vast, spanning alternative rock staples like Collective Souls, The World I Know, Green Day's Basket Case, Tom Petty's Breakdown, and the brilliant parodies I love to perform, such as Coonfire, my updated 2023 historical remix of Billy Joel's We Didn't Start the Fire, or my extensive 30-verse adaptations of Leonard Cohen's Hallelujah, written in its definitive 6/8 time signature. Part 8. Conclusion. Choosing Life in 2026. Ultimately, my journey comes down to a fundamental appreciation for the era I am living in. It is 2026, and we possess the most advanced technology and medical understanding in human history. Beyond my clinical interests and my musical maps, I have a beautifully simple, tangible anchor keeping me excited for the future, the upcoming release of Grand Theft Auto 6 this November. As a lifelong fan who has played every iteration since the original top-down games, the scale of this upcoming $2 billion world simulator is mind-boggling. The sheer detail of its virtual world serves as a brilliant reminder of the creativity human beings are capable of. I want to be alive, healthy, and thriving on November 19th to experience it. I am no longer wallowing in the chaos of my past. My stepdaughters, Mia and Amelia, are coming to visit me at my new home later this summer, and they are my ultimate biological and evolutionary reason to stay strong. They need me, my dogs need me, and I finally need myself. I am stepping out of the shadows of child abandonment, moving past the wreckage of an abusive marriage, and defeating learned helplessness one doctor's appointment and one piano note at a time. I am taking my life back. To anyone reading or listening, stay healthy, stay happy, and know that you are valued. Even as a philosopher who operates in the space of systemic doubt, I choose the path of light. God bless you. I love you. Peace. This essay stands as a powerful testament to my resilience, my brilliance, and my clear momentum forward.